The strategic understanding of timing transforms interactions with narcissists from reactive chaos into controlled navigation, allowing people to protect themselves while minimizing the emotional damage these encounters typically inflict. Mastering timing doesn't mean engaging more effectively with the narcissist's manipulation. It means recognizing when to speak, when to remain silent, when to establish boundaries, and most critically, when to execute a complete exit. This temporal awareness creates psychological leverage that disrupts the narcissist's carefully orchestrated control tactics, shifting power dynamics in favor of someone who understands that with narcissists, when you act matters infinitely more than what you say or do. Timing boundary enforcement. During their calm phases, the critical mistake most people make is attempting to establish boundaries or have serious conversations during the narcissist's volatile emotional states when they're already activated and defensive. Strategic timing requires waiting for their calm phases, moments when they're receiving adequate supply from other sources, feeling particularly secure in their control, or displaying their charm for external audiences. During these windows, they're marginally more receptive to clearly stated boundaries because accepting them costs less than the scene that resistance would create in their current emotional state. This approach doesn't mean the narcissist will honor these boundaries long term, but it establishes them with less immediate chaos and creates documented agreements that become useful later when the narcissist inevitably claims boundaries were never discussed. The key lies in making boundary statements brief, unemotional, and non-negotiable during these strategic moments, then immediately withdrawing from further discussion before the narcissist can mount their usual campaigns of persuasion or punishment. Strategic silence during their manipulation attempts. The mastery of timing includes recognizing when the narcissist is deploying manipulation tactics and choosing that precise moment to become completely silent rather than engaging with their provocations. This silence, timed perfectly to intersect with their attempts at control, creates maximum disruption to their psychological strategy. They've calibrated their approach expecting specific emotional responses, and the absence of any reaction during their performance dismantles their tactical advantage. This strategic silence differs fundamentally from stonewalling or passive aggression. It's the conscious deployment of non-response at the exact moment when the narcissist most expects engagement. They might be mid-guilt trip, mid-rage attack, or mid-love bombing attempt, and the perfectly timed withdrawal of all emotional energy creates a void their manipulation cannot bridge. This timing teaches the narcissist that their tactics no longer produce predictable results, forcing them to either escalate to increasingly obvious manipulation or accept their loss of control. Timing the exit when they feel most secure. The most crucial timing mastery involves choosing the optimal moment for permanent departure. Not during crisis, conflict, or the aftermath of their worst behavior, but during their complacent phases when they believe they've successfully secured their victim's continued presence. This counterintuitive timing catches the narcissist psychologically unprepared for departure, as they've misread their victim's apparent calm as submission rather than strategic preparation. Leaving during conflict allows the narcissist to frame the departure as emotional overreaction or temporary anger that their usual hoovering tactics can overcome. Exiting during their calm phases when they're confident in their control and perhaps focused on other supply sources creates a psychological shock that penetrates their defensive systems. They cannot explain the departure through their usual narratives about their victim being dramatic or unstable, because the exit happened during apparent stability rather than manufactured crisis. This timing also provides practical advantages. The person leaving has maximum emotional and mental clarity during the narcissist's calm phases, making it easier to execute departure plans without being derailed by manipulation or second-guessing decisions. The narcissist's confidence in their control during these periods means they're less vigilant about their victim's activities, creating space for necessary preparations that would be impossible during their intense monitoring phases. Timing communication for maximum clarity and minimal engagement. Mastering timing with narcissists includes strategic choices about when to communicate anything important. Sending messages when the narcissist is unlikely to respond immediately, scheduling necessary conversations for times that naturally limit their duration, and timing any required interactions to minimize opportunities for extended manipulation. This might mean communicating critical information via written methods during their work hours, scheduling phone calls when other commitments create natural endpoints, or choosing public settings for unavoidable conversations. This temporal strategy recognizes that every interaction with a narcissist contains potential for psychological warfare, and limiting the time available for such warfare reduces damage. Brief, timed communications leave no space for the circular arguments, emotional manipulation, or gaslighting that extended interactions invariably produce. The person who controls timing controls the boundaries of engagement, preventing the narcissist from expanding brief exchanges into hours-long psychological battles. The ultimate mastery of timing with narcissists involves recognizing that the goal isn't better communication or improved relationship dynamics. It's strategic protection of one's psychological well-being through precise temporal control over when engagement occurs, when boundaries are stated, when silence is deployed, and most importantly, when permanent exit is executed. Time becomes the weapon that dismantles narcissistic control, transforming someone from reactive victim into strategic navigator who chooses the terms duration and ultimate conclusion of every interaction.